Hello and welcome. I herein propose that we urgently need a spiritually driven revival of traditionalism, not because we all agree on every policy or share identical traditions, far from it. The conservative temperament varies everywhere. What resonates in one location will look very different in another. That diversity is natural. People defend what they love, their heritage, customs and way of life, especially amid demographic upheaval, seditiously forced mass migration and provoked cultural division. But let's step back from national details and ask a deeper question. What truly unites critically thinking communities? What is the common thread beneath the surface of our differing histories and accents? We can endlessly debate what this means in practice. That's part of the human condition. What matters is the shared conviction that such values exist and are worth defending. We believe morality is real, that truth is not just opinion, and that beauty is more than taste. We believe in the validity of these things, although that belief is now bullied out of fashion. Why? Because our institutions are waging war on the very concepts we once considered normal, obvious, and foundational. The result is a generation conditioned to doubt its own eyes and instincts, to mistrust common sense accrued over centuries. We all know the examples. Public platforms ludicrously present dozens of gender categories. We're told that even basic truths are problematic. What was once up is now down. But rhetoric aside, what happens when a society internalises this upside-down logic? What becomes of a people who no longer honour the accumulated wisdom that anchored their forebears? Confusion, disorientation, and isolation aren't glitches in the system. They are the predominant features of it. Customs, craftsmanship, tradition, the landmarks that gave nations identity and direction are ridiculed, sidelined, and often obliterated. Again, why? Because those without roots are easier to manipulate. Globalism's managerial class wants docile customers who buy what they're told and repeat what they're taught. Control the commanding heights, universities, media, cultural institutions, big tech, and you can refashion the public into an audience, then an algorithmically sorted market segment. The tools are tiresomely familiar. Propaganda masquerading as news, censorship dressed as safety, deplatforming justified as harm reduction. The effect is self-censorship, atomization, and dependence. Just look around. Stating that there are two sexes can get you fired. Advocating lawfully controlled immigration triggers high-risk extremist labels. Opposing grooming gender identity indoctrination in schools is smeared as dangerous. What began as online mobs wielding cancel culture has stealthily morphed into law. New statutes now empower authorities to ban organisations arbitrarily deemed anti-democratic or subversive, seize their assets and jail members. And who will such measures be used against? The violent extremists who terrorise the streets? Well, no, of course not. More and more we see security services dictate that the major threat is anyone with the wrong views. Let's distill two core points. First, the coordinated effort to uproot people from their identity, culture and traditions, because unmoored citizens are easier to herd. Second, the state's reach is rapidly expanding into private life with alarming speed. Confuse, isolate and render people dependent, and you cement political power. I've come to know this pattern well, having been warning about the globalist technocratic project for decades. Own nothing and be happy, while monetary experiments inflated away our wages and savings. Multiculturalism will enrich you, they lied, even as neighbourhoods changed beyond recognition at breakneck pace. We should all be feminists, they lectured, while pitting the sexes against each other and deriding family aspirations as backward. This channel has repeatedly discussed all of this at great length. Yet today, those debates feel curiously small beside a larger, more urgent reality. For the moment, I can still complain about ideological capture in universities, but what if soon I'm not permitted to enter a university at all? I can defend national heritage, but what if I can't step into a museum? I can argue about purchasing power, but what if I'm barred from the shops, restaurants and workplaces where life happens? This isn't a thought experiment. For millions who refused toxic jabs they didn't want or need, life became cripplingly circumscribed. In effect, they became second-class citizens. This is legal exclusion from everyday life, unprecedented in living memory. This uncomfortable truth disturbs many, wherein it's easier to believe I'm exaggerating. That impulse to avert our gaze is precisely the problem. The most dangerous feature right now is the inability to recognise creeping authoritarianism when it arrives in polished packaging. We console ourselves that it can't happen here, but it already has. Institutions are only as healthy as the people who steward them, and people are tempted and corrupted by power everywhere. Don't assume compliance protects you, even if you've done everything they asked of you. The precedent being set will shape your future. When fundamental rights, freedom of movement, bodily autonomy, medical privacy are suspended for a while without clear enforceable limits, they cease to be rights and become permissions. And permissions get revoked. The rationale will always be noble sounding: public health, safety, climate security, inclusion. Well, who's going to oppose those? But rights that vanish whenever a noble pretext appears are not rights at all. This is how divide and rule works. Stigma, fear, and moralised shaming pit neighbour against neighbour. The QR code that grants you access today can be linked to anything tomorrow: travel frequency, dietary choices, energy consumption, financial behaviour, speech flagged by automated systems. Tie that to CBDCs and your phone becomes a master switch for your life. Conditional freedom available only to those who comply with every edict is not freedom at all. It's despotism masquerading as convenience. To change course, we must first see clearly and speak plainly, then refuse, peacefully but firmly. What is unjust? We can't outsource courage to someone else. Hoping that things will sort themselves out is not a strategy. Traditionalism is not merely about guarding the past, it's about securing a livable future. That means drawing lines. It means defending the realm of the person against the encroaching state, the space of conscience, family, community, faith, enterprise, and voluntary association. What does that require from us? Re-anchoring ourselves in the transcendent, recommitting to what's honest, demonstrably true and worthy, and rebuilding the things that nurture these. Schools that teach wisdom, not slogans. Media that serves truth, not transnational crime cartels. Arts that elevate, not debase. Rebuilding civil society, strengthening families, guilds, churches, clubs, and local associations. the mediating structures that confer identity, responsibility. When these are strong, the state's reach is naturally limited. Insisting on clear boundaries to emergency powers, sunset clauses, and robust judicial review. Rights must be non-negotiable, not conditional. Restoring common sense, acknowledging realities that globalist ideology tries to obscure: biological sex, the need for borders, the dignity of work, the moral worth of family life, and the value of inherited traditions. Resisting digital serfdom, opposing systems that turn citizenship into a pass-fail score, whether through social credit logic, programmable money, or surveillance disguised as safety. Practicing solidarity, refusing to scapegoat neighbours who make different choices, rejecting attempts to divide us by health status, politics, race, or class. A free society depends on the moral habit of treating fellow citizens as equals under the law. This isn't nostalgia, it's renewal. We cannot rewind history, nor should we romanticise the past. Reject the lie that our future must be centrally managed by unaccountable UN bureaucrats, curated by algorithms and conditioned on perpetual compliance. The alternative is not chaos, it's ordered liberty rooted in moral truth. Ultimately, we must strive for responsible stewardship. We inherit a civilization we did not build, and we are obligated to pass it on intact, if not improved. And that duty doesn't end at protecting monuments or preserving customs. It includes safeguarding the legal and cultural preconditions of freedom itself. The conviction that truth is discoverable, that individuals are more than data points, and that authority serves the common good, not the other way around. So let's forcefully speak this truth to power, and where conscience demands it, say no and mean it. Not with bitterness, but with determined resolve. Not to destroy, but to rebuild. The point is not to retreat, but to reclaim, to replant what was uprooted, and to protect what remains. If we do this patiently and courageously, we not only honour the best of our past, we'll secure the conditions for our children to flourish in the future. Now that's a cause worth preserving, and the cause of a truly free people. Thank you for watching.